the new call of the day. What do you remember about Black love in the 90s, Anita? I want you to tell the young folks that never experienced it. Let's go back from the high school days, Anita, to the college days. And when did Black love in the 90s dissipate? Go ahead.
Right. So 86, I graduated in 1986. I had first boyfriend. We dated for a year, and that was my man. I was a virgin,
Oh, wow.
But, we dated for a year, and that was my man, right? And it was something that was it was understood very early, right? So it's like people pursued you, but they were intentional. They were like, why would I pursue Anita to just have sex one night and then go about my business? No, they were like, this is the woman I want. This is the woman I want to be with. So people were incredibly intentional. The music was different. So love was a thing, right? The R&B, 80s, 90s, love was a thing. And that was kind of, let's come together. Let's be together. Let's have a family. Let's build something together. Love was very intentional back then. Like I tell people now, 2-3 dates, that person was my boyfriend. That person was my man. And we would date, longer than that. And then I would decide when I was comfortable, like, okay, because I still don't know you, but now it is, so pretty much everybody's having sex outside of marriage. That's like common now, very common. And now let's take it a step further. They're having sex outside of commitment. So there doesn't even have to be a commitment. That wasn't a thing in my day. You had to be my man. You had to be my man. You had to publicly proclaim that you were my man, and we had to be in a relationship for some time. Okay. So that just wasn't even a thing. And again, yes, back then, I think the 20% of men did have tons of options. But I think there were women also choosing within the 80%.
Yes. Average men had average women back then.
And we knew that. We were like, you know what? Pretty Ricky, Pretty Ricky, all the girls want him, but I don't feel like competing with all those girls. Let me just choose this guy over here. Like, plenty of women would do that. They're like, ain't nobody competing for Pretty Ricky. Okay. I'm going to take this guy. He's a good guy. We're in school together. We're high school sweethearts, college sweethearts. I'm going to make a life with him.
Yes, ma'am.
That was very common back in the day because
that was common.
But now it's like all the women want Pretty Ricky, and they're like in this big group of women trying to compete for him. And it's like everybody can be with Pretty Ricky.
Everybody can be with, but when we were in school, so y'all used to like the light-skinned boys, the Albie Shores. The Albie Shores of the world. But when the 90s came, that's when the chocolate came in effect. It was a chocolate factory. We had Wesley Snipes, Tay Diggs, Morris Chestnut, the Richard T. Jones. They tell me I look like Isaac Hayes. I just tell them I stand accused. They tell me I look like Isaac. But in the 90s, that's when the chocolate factory came in. Chocolate dudes were getting it in. The women, because I used to be jealous of the light-skinned guys with the good, they say good hair. I don't believe no such thing, good hair. But the good, So around 90, the dark skinned dudes, we start getting our game. Dark skin took over, we ain't gonna give it back. So now it's the chocolate bars. Chocolate bars are what's in there. They want some of that Godiva chocolate, some of that 90% cocoa.
We're intentional, and we wanted to come together. We wanted to be together. We wanted to build something together, and the music started to change, right? Some of the media started to change, and we, unfortunately, once the women got on that bandwagon, so the women started considering themselves bitches, and hoes and all that. It's like, okay, so our value started to drop, not just in the eyes of men, but even women were not holding a standard. And now we're on this slippery slope of, I want to sleep around and do what I want to do. And, you should still value me. No.
We ain't going to value, sweetie. Can't value something that's used. That's like asking, can you imagine, Anita, if a man professes love for you and he said, Anita, I want you to be my wife, but he proposed to you with a ring that he gave to 5 other women.
Exactly. We
Or,
all do. Yeah, exactly.
do you see my point? Or, he said, baby, I'm gonna get you this dress. I love you, Anita. This is gonna be my dress. But he got all the women he dated had similar builds like you. You look to be about 5'8", 5'9".
Yeah.
Is that true?
I'm 5'6".
Okay, 5'6". Okay, I was close. I was a few inches
Yeah.
over. So you're on the short side a little bit. Well, you're not short. You're above height.
I'm the average. I think the average woman is 5'5". So yeah.
5'4", actually 5'4", but you 5'6", so you're tall. You're sort of tall. But imagine you found a woman of a similar build, and he gave all those women, they tried on the same dress that he wanted to give to you. Would you want that dress?
I would not.
and would you want the ring?
No, I would not. Not if other women had it. No.
Exactly. And that's how men see women.
Exactly.
Why would I get paid? But modern women want men to settle. I remember if a woman had a child out of wedlock, because back in the 90s there was a lot of teen pregnancy. And I'm going to say this: a lot of the songs of the 90s were good, but also a lot of men were simping back in the 90s too. There was a lot of simping going on in the 90s, but I would argue the women were still better. They weren't as bad. Women back in the 90s were sneaky. They would get it in, but they were just, they were just quiet about it. They were quiet. They were quiet freaks. You just didn't know they were getting it in, but they were just sneaky with it. But I would still argue, even though a lot of the music was telegraphing men to compromise their sovereignty, women were better, in my opinion, back then. They were better. They were better. The hairstyles were nice. Everybody had the same hairstyle with that baby hair and the baby hair on the side and them hair installations. They didn't have all that. And women had different looks. You might have the little mushroom haircut style. Everybody just looked different. And it was powerful. And like Bashua said, she said that I miss those days. I was thinking about the 90s when I was coming of age and felt both nostalgic and sad at the same time. And that's what made me sad. I remember the serenity of growing up in the 90s, walking up the streets with you remember the jams we used to wear back in the day? They were called jams. They were like Pacific pants, like flower pants. And listen to the, Keep On Moving, Don't Stop. You had choir music back then, optimistic, the sounds of blackness. It wasn't nothing needed for men to go outside and wash their car for about 7 hours and then take their girl out. Am I talking right? Set them rims were right, that the pants were crisp. And we were intentional about the women that we like. Now, I didn't do a lot of dating because I was in the church, I didn't do a lot. I should have done a lot more dating. But, when you grow up in the Pentecostal church, if you sneeze, you're going to hell. So I missed out on a lot, in a good way and then also in a bad way. I missed out on a lot because I'm doing what a lot of guys were getting in. And I had women that were liking me, because I'm 6'5", 6'6", deep voice athlete. And so a lot of women just say, "Oh yeah," they say you can get a lot of women, But I said, "No, I'm trying to do what the laws say, like they say in the South. I'm trying to do what the laws say." But them days are gone. Do you ever reflect on nostalgia and sometimes it brings you to profound sadness?
It does, because the truth is, people who know my story, they know that, I'm in a season of my life. So I've talked about the seasons, right? So I'm in a season of my life where I may not get married again. Right. I've had children. I've been married. I've had that season of life. Right. But I may not marry again. And so I'm a Titus 2 woman, which basically means someone who's older, who's seasoned, a sage woman who has life experience. I also have professional or clinical experience. And I want to share that and save as many young women as I can. I always explain to women, I'm not your competition.
Right.
I'm out of the game in some regards. And I'm good. I have a good life. But I want you to have the life you say you want. I want to teach you how to get it. But you're not going to get it following these feminist ideology, trying to be the alpha woman and all of that. That's not going to get you where you want to go. And it's going against your God-designed nature. And women, we had this femininity movement that happened in the last 5 years where we saw a lot of women making femininity content, having this outcry of, embrace your feminine energy. That did happen because women are waking up too. They're realizing that, I think we've been sold a lie. I think that this whole working 40, 50 hours a week, my nature is telling me to get married and have a child. I can't do it all.
Right.
I don't like the idea of being the breadwinner. Women do not take pride in being the breadwinner.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that doesn't make us feel good.
Mm-hmm.
That makes them feel good. It doesn't make us feel good.
Mm-hmm.
So I think women are slowly waking up. They're slowly realizing that this lifestyle I'm living, I'm not happy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not genuinely happy. I don't
Mm-hmm.
feel fulfilled.
Right.
So yes, those are the women I want to speak to. Those are the women that I want to try to catch. I want to help them to heal. I
Mm-hmm.
want to teach them those skills that my mother and my grandmother taught me on how to be a good wife, good mother. Those are the women I want to catch. I'm out of this game. I'm good. Like, I tell people that all the time. And how you feel about me is how you feel about me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think about you, but I'm in a great place in life.
Mm-hmm.
I'm having a measure of professional success again on the back end.
On the back end, same here. Right.
Grown. My children are grown. They're they're gone about their business. So
I
want to help younger women.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I go to college campuses and talk about this. I talk quite a bit about just making sure that they are not putting marriage and family on the back burner, because a lot of women will wait as late as 35 or 40. Like, that's too late.
It's too late.
That's too late.
Right.
Fertility's in trouble. Like, that's just too late. And
yes.
It's just sad to me where we see things going. So that's my goal. I do speak to men too, especially men who are open-minded, men who want to come together and find a good wife. I speak to men too, but if I'm being honest, a lot of men, like you said, they're MGTOW. They just have given up. They're like, I've given up on American women, or I've given up on women, period.
Right. They're giving up. Yeah. I mean, they have, because they've been burnt. I mean, they've been burnt. And, you were right, Anita. There was a time I was listening to some of your content, your shorts. You said men used to obsess about women. Shout out to my man, Mucha Hair, for the 7. And you're right. They did at one point. I understand where you were coming from, because I know what you were saying. But I think men should obsess for God and His purpose, and then the woman, because falling in love is equivalent, Anita, to a man being impregnated. He's impregnated mentally by that woman's allure. The scriptures say, cast not thine strength to a woman. If you don't believe me, ask Samson. If you don't believe me, ask David. A woman's feminine allure can be a blessing, but it can be dangerous. I mean, I would have to guesstimate that when Eve in the garden probably looked like a woman from Yemen, or an Arab woman, or, because I believe that Adam and Eve were black people. They were brown folks. I don't think they look like West African blacks, but they might look more like you. I think Adam and Eve look more like you. And Eve probably had wide hips, a flat stomach, a narrow hip ratio, big breasts. Eve probably was fine. And let me tell you something, Anita. It's so powerful, the allure of a woman. This is something a lot of churches don't talk about. According to the book of Genesis, it said that the sons of God in the Hebrew means the Bana Elohim. Anytime you see the sons of God, it means the sons of Elohim, which were angels. And these beings saw women, and they were called watcher angels. Hey, them women are fine. And they left their first place to get with women, and they produced a race of beings called Nephilim, which were fallen ones. They were mutants. They were demigods. And they were created outside of God's order. And that's what happens in the world where we get outside God's order. We create mutants. You got a bunch of mutant kids now. You got a bunch of mutants, and you got a lot of dysfunction in the black community. Now, I want to ask you a question. There's been some men that give you compliments and you look good. And you do. You look very healthy. You look very organic. You look very vegan-esque, if that's a word.
Yeah.
Are you a vegan?
No, I eat meat. That's probably the secret. I eat meat.
You eat meat, okay.
I don't drink or smoke or get involved in a lot of foolishness. Okay. I am happy. I am genuinely content with the life that I have. Jesus, is my Lord and Savior.
Much love. Same here. No doubt. Respect.
I just do what He tells me to do. And I keep telling people that if you just do what He tells you to do, 90% of your problems will disappear. Seek
first the kingdom, and all His righteousness will be added to you. And I agree with you 100%. I think Yeah, when we were grounded in faith, Anita, you know, when you look at the progression of black folks, it's the greatest miracle in American history.
Yeah.
We went from chattel slavery, went through some of the worst conditions, but the things that we had the most, we had abiding faith.
Right.
Christ and God, we were God centered, and that God centeredness led to community. And but these white liberals came in, like the scriptures say in the book of Jude, evil men, Anita, they crept in unaware with the eugenics movement. You know, they went into the black churches. They besmirched some of these black preachers. I think Dr. King was hoodwinked to some degree, and they took on this nonsense. And now the greatest, I believe, Anita, that the devil knows that black folks were the original Adam and Eve. I believe that. I believe the reason why the devil hates black folks so much because we look the most like the image of God and Adam. I said, why is black folks always catching hell? Because I believe that Lucifer knew that we were the original people. And original means that we're better. It just means that we look like Adam and Eve. We were the prototype of Adam and Eve. The word hue comes from the word color, human. We were the first hue or colored people, the people of color, people of the earth. And I think that's why they hate us. We're talented. Our genetics, the melanin in our skin, it's what preserves us. We are creative. We are vibrant. I love black women. And I love black women. I love black women. I love good quality, wholesome black women. Now, I'm not saying I wouldn't date an Asian or whatever. I love all women. I like, I'm like Andrew Caldwell and he's home for me. She gonna laugh at this one. I'm like Andrew. You know who Andrew Caldwell is, don't you?
Yep.
Okay. I'm like Andrew Caldwell. Let me see if I can find him. Where's he at? Because I'm delivered.
Not gay no more. I am delivered. I don't like men no more. I said I like women.
I like women.
Right. See?
Shout out to my man through the Fire podcast with that fire. Here's some support, and that's a deal. And shout out to Nuja Head. So you remember the 90s. I remember it. It was powerful. It was vibrant. But if you had to do it again, Anita, this might be for the fellas. What kind of man would you look for if you got married again?
I am focused on character. I am focused on someone who is intellectual. And I've always loved intellectual men. That's primarily the men that I have dated, is men who are just very intellectual, men who are submitted to the Lord. That's the mistake I made. I married a man who was not submitted to God. And, eventually in that marriage, I figured that out. And I said, okay, I can't, this man is not submitted to God. It was all a big ruse, to reel me in. But yeah, this man is not the submitted man I thought he was. So I would marry someone who is submitted to God, and someone who is kind, someone who is healthy and fit, because I'm obsessed with, health and fitness.
Okay, good.
Yeah. I mean, my wants and needs are pretty simple, submitted to God, kind, healthy and fit, someone who's intellectual in some way or shape or form, because that is me, who I am.
Right.
That's it. I don't have a lot of requirements in terms of height and money and all of those worldly things.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Right. That's powerful. So basically you would date a guy your height.
Oh yeah. Of course I would. Like I said, I just need a good guy. I just need a good man. Someone that, we can spar intellectually. Someone who wants to live righteously, because that's the path that I'm on. That's it.
Right. Because you are not only a sapiophile, but you're a sapiosexual too. Right. You are sexually attracted to intelligence. I used to joke with my sapiosexual women. I say, so if that's the case, I'll be joking with him. So if a man looked like the nutty professor, but he was smart and intellectual, could you date him?
I'm a health nut. So probably not that big, because I'm a health and fitness person. So probably not that big, but he doesn't have to. Yeah, he doesn't have to be all swagged out or whatever. But yeah, I'm a health person though. I'm
right. Physical. Well, you look excellent. Now, I want to give you a compliment. You look very good. I don't know what you do. I don't know if you beat.
Yeah. Take care of his health, and I'm going to make him take care of his health. So yes, he's going to become exponentially healthier when we come together.
I like that. I like that. I like that. Yeah. Well, you look super good. You look very healthy. And you look like you eat, you probably get one of them vitamin mixes or blend techs where you got, all kinds of greens.
Feed them good. I'm a definitely feed them good, but I keep telling men, y'all gotta increase your protein because your testosterone needs it.
That's true. Yes, ma'am. That's very true. Right.
And they keep pushing veganism, but what they're not telling you about veganism is it's hard to get your 150 grams of protein.
Yes, ma'am. Right. That's true. Right. That is so true because you're right. And I thought about something profound because I've been doing green smoothies in the morning with about 20% protein, but I need more protein because I'm sick because the protein should really be based on your physical size. Like I'm 6'5".
You probably need 220 grams of protein.
220 grams of protein, right? So how many scoops would that be?
Gosh, like I said, you got to eat a ribeye every day. You got to have some lamb. You got to have some pea protein. Like you got to eat some meat. That's what people don't realize. I don't get protein from powder. I get protein from meat and eggs.
Eggs, right? Yes, ma'am. Right. I gotta look at what the record. They got like a metric for like height and weight, and so they say by the size of your fist. So you're supposed to eat enough protein by the size of your fist.
Yeah, get that protein. A lot of men, their testosterone is plummeting, and it's
plummeting,
because they're not getting enough protein. They're not lifting heavy.
Right.
Men's testosterone lives in their muscles.
Yes, ma'am. Right, especially the thigh muscles.
They gotta eat protein. So I eat meat. Everybody knows that I eat meat. I could not be vegan because I need 125 grams of protein every day.
Right.
Be lean and fit and healthy.
How do you measure your protein, Anita? How do you make sure you get your protein? How do you measure it? Like, do you have like a? Go ahead.
No, I have a steak every day. I usually eat half of it in the morning, and I have 2 or 3 eggs with it. Sometimes I will mix cottage cheese with my eggs. Like I will blend that and eat that because that adds another 10 grams of protein. I put cheese in it. I eat a half an avocado. Then I'll have another steak at night, or I'll have lamb. And like I said, I need protein, especially now that I am menopausal. So a lot of women need to get more protein and get more vitamin D and more calcium. That's another thing. Right. We don't realize that as Black people, we think because of the melanin in our skin, a lot of Black people are deficient in vitamin D. So I take 10,000 IUIs of vitamin D every day. Gotta get our vitamin D. We gotta get our magnesium, our B vitamin.
Yes, ma'am. Right.
I'm obsessed with this stuff. So
no. Don't feel bad. I'm the same way. Anita. I got to get better with the weightlifting though, because I can, I remember my 20s, man. I was a beast. But you can still maintain that because I'm 54, and you start losing muscle mass the older you get, and you're right. Belly weight and all that. If you got low T, men start getting big bellies, not because they're eating a lot, because their testosterone is getting lower. And actually now it's genetic engineering when men testosterone is lower than it's ever been before in human history.
It is. We did myself and Dr. L did a podcast and talked about some of that. That's the thing. So men have got to, like I said, they've got to take good care of their health. Historically, men do tend to die a little sooner than women.
That's true. Right.
But they've got to start taking good care of themselves. They've got to go to the dentist. Your oral health has a lot to do with your heart health.
Yes, ma'am. Right.
About this.
Very true. Very true. No, I agree with you 100%. All right. So let's get to this part. So we talked about what you remember about Black love in the 90s. We're going to talk about carnal hypergamy and kosher hypergamy. So I created 2 terms, Anita. Let me go ahead and hit this button because we're going to clip this thing up, and I'm going to give you the clips, and you can run them on your show. And I'm going to look out for you, because I know you're kosher. You're going to be, Anita is kosher. Everything is kosher with Anita. The food got to be kosher. The mind got to be kosher. Everything got to be kosher. So because I am the kosher clinician, because everything I do is raw, mine got to be raw. I came up with 2 terms to hypergamy. One is carnal. So when you think about carnal hypergamy, Anita, carnal hypergamy is exploitative. It's women that get a man, but then she monkey branches to the next man when that man loses assets or she deems him not to be important. So we call that, in the urban terms, he's a lick. Just like a lion. A lion sees a woman that he wants, or that woman see a man that she wants, and she preys on him. Then when she gets what she wants, she monkey branches to the next man. So she's constantly climbing because she's not content. Yeah. But kosher hypergamy is different than carnal hypergamy. Kosher hypergamy is fair, it's measured, and it's highly reasonable. Meaning, listen, I understand, baby, you're here at this point in your life, but as long as you have a contingency plan, you're constantly moving up the ladder of success. Because women are just naturally hypergamous. Let's be real. They are. It's in their nature, And I think men are too, but it's in a different way. Like some women get mad at men to say, well, once he start making money, he'll get rid of the woman for a younger woman that's more fit and firmer and more fertile. I just don't think men do it as much as women do it. But I think men are hypergamous to some degree, especially as they make more money. But carnal hypergamy is exploitative. Kosher hypergamy is fair. It doesn't leave the man. It doesn't hurt the man. It meets the man where he's at. It's reasonable. It's intrinsic. And it's willing to honor and respect that man. Meaning, listen, I know you're going to do rough times, baby, but I'm there right with you. As long as you got a contingency plan, because I think it's the nature of a woman, Anita, some call it evolutionary psychology, to get with the best man that can progenate her offspring.
Right.
She wants the best man. She wants height. Yep. She wants mental dexterity. She wants provision. She wants protection, because women by nature are nesters. Right. But on the flip side, men want women with wide, narrow hip waist ratio, because the hip symbolizes that she's fertile, a woman that's loyal, a woman that can control her emotions, like the Proverbs 31 woman, because the Proverbs 31 woman, her heart was her family. She didn't put nothing else first. Her heart was her family, and her heart was the love of God. So if her heart was family and God, then everything else was going to take care of itself. First seek the kingdom, and everything else will be added to you. But men now, Anita, have been victims of a condition called carnal hypergamy. Yeah, men have been victims of carnal hypergamy, and it's led to tears, because men thought when they married that woman, like Keith Sweat said, make this last forever. They thought it was going to be forever when they put that ring on her finger. Because see, most men are not rushing to get married, especially the ones that got options. When they got women and they got money, height, and status, they ain't rushing to get married, because most women want them. Most women want the top 20%. And so they thought, the average man thought that the average woman was going to be his ride or die, was going to love her to perpetuity. But she didn't. When she got tired of him, he didn't do nothing wrong. She divorced him. She said, I'm not happy. No fault divorce. And so, men that in their 50s, they say, I can't take a risk of marrying a woman now, because I can lose everything I got. I'm already old. I'm not saying old, but even though men start making most of their money in their 50s, they just can't take that risk. And so they say, you know what? Nah, I'm good. I want my peace. I was talking to my dad after my mom died, Anita, and I was talking with my dad. And so my dad is 82. And I said, Dad, you get married again? He said, no, I sure ain't. Not because I don't think he loves, but marriage is hard. It can. I don't think marriage is as hard as people make it, Anita. Right. I think when both people understand their assignment, I think marriage is the most beautiful thing in the world.
It is. And 90% of marital success is in who you choose.
Right.
That's what we don't say enough.
Right.
Women by nature suck at choosing.
Yes.
They are not good at choosing a good, solid, kind, high character man. Mm-hmm. That's it. If you choose a good, solid man of high character, high moral character, that man is going to be a good man to you, a good father to your children. That's it.
Now, this brother here is a good friend of mine. I love him to death. I got nothing but love for the brother. He said, why would I get this man? He's a high earner too. He's in the top percentage of earners. And he said, why would I get married when it doesn't benefit me at all? And the state can legally take everything from me. It is a legal robbery that has gone on for decades. Marriage is a joke. What would you say about that?
I am Christian, so of course I'm going to give you God's viewpoint on this, which is that's his grand design. It's unfortunate what has happened again, but there are people in this modern day that we live in right now that are Christian and they're marrying other Christians. They're choosing well. Some of those people have prenuptial agreements, you know. There are other things that you can put in place, but if you want to live the way God has instructed you to live, you're not going to be out here fathering a bunch of children that you're not raising or having sex outside of marriage. Again, I know these concepts are not popular, but that's my frame of reference. That's what's kept me safe all these years.
Right. And I don't think, like, so my friend, he's a good friend of mine. It's not that he don't want to get married. He wants to get married. He will get married, but it's not going to be in America. He's going to choose the foreign path. So he believes in marriage. He believes in family. Him and I talk all the time. He wants a woman that can't take all his assets. And see, some people say even though you can get a prenup, it's not always binding in all states. I'm going to show you a clip about carnal hypergamy and kosher hypergamy. Let's look at this. Hold tight.
All of the things that I hear people talking about today.
Hold tight.
Who makes $100,000, $300,000 a year? That's
Carnal,
money.
kosher hypergamy. Carnal hypergamy.
My specific life goals at 24 with plenty of options and
plenty of options for what? Plenty of options for what?
For dating.
The way you're talking is like you say you got a lot of options, but not for the kind and caliber men you're talking about. Not that kind of money.
God damn.
You may have a lot of options for dudes making, average money, but not for no man talking about $300,000-$400,000 a year. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Not here in Atlanta.
Have you hold this? All right. If we can have your name.
My name's Aaron.
Aaron, how old are you?
Yeah, I'm 29.
29. Okay.
Yes.
And what do you do?
I'm a licensed plumber.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
And now, what do you look for in a woman?
I look for a woman that's not promiscuous and has a career going for herself.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And now, what are some of your deal breakers?
Deal breaker, being promiscuous, not cleanly, don't have a career, nothing really going for yourself.
Okay. All right. So we did get a pop balloon. Let's go ahead and go on over there and see what's going on.
Yes.
All right. If we can have your name and age. And
for me, it just did not work. I didn't feel like I had chemistry or I wasn't fully attracted to you. And I feel like that counts if we are going to be going through a dating show,
Yes, the feeling is definitely mutual. So that's okay. Thank you. You did me a favor.
I got some good cooler counters, Miss Kendra. It's good.
Men, are you dealing with issues like this? Book a session.
I got 6 Kendra.
6. How old are you, Diamond?
I'm 44.
44. Have you ever been married?
I'm married right now, but I'm separated. My husband is a cheater.
How many children's dads do you have? Just one?
6.
I got 6, Kendra. I gave every man I loved a baby.
Okay, so you have 6 children by 6 men, and you're married to a different man.
That's right.
You must got some fire vagina.
I got some good cooler counters, Miss Kendra. It's good. I used to
dating in the 90s.
All right. So carnal hypergamy, that's carnal hypergamy. Women like her, Anita, will come back, and we call it the reach back method. Where I remember when Anita, I was in high school. I played high school ball. Had a chance to play college ball too. But I remember our class reunion back. Well, we had the class reunion back in 10 years ago, back in 2000, I believe. I came out in 90. So in 2000, we had a class reunion. So I was at the class reunion. So I had a couple of women come up to me and said, "Oh, are you happy?" I said, "I'm good, And then they'll say, "Oh, I liked it to you." I said, "No, you didn't like it to me. you didn't like it to me, sweetie, because you big now. You big. You got a bunch of children, and I'm sure you ran through. So you didn't like it to me, because I don't want you. Like Mike Jones said back then, you didn't want me. Now I'm how you all want me. I'm good. I don't want you. So when you see carnal hypergamy and the concept of carnal hypergamy versus kosher hypergamy, what do you think about that concept that I created?
It is true. Carnal hypergamy is based on worldly standards, right? Mm-hmm. So it's based on money and height and things of that nature. Whereas I often share, much like you just did, the kosher hypergamy. So I often say things like, I do need a man that's better than me. That's in my nature, right? I cannot date a man that is not not as, he has to be better than me in some way, shape, or form.
Right.
Now that can be in knowledge, that could be with education, that could be, it could be income, but it doesn't have to be.
Right.
He has to be competent in some way.
In some way, right. I agree with that.
So it's not height, it's not money, but it's, he is a competent man. So I've dated firefighters, I've dated mechanics, okay? A man who knew his way around my car. And I was like, oh my gosh, you know, and that's very attractive. I've dated men who were good fathers. That's very attractive, right? A man who handles his business when it comes to his children. He's smart, he's intellectual, he's well-read. Like, he has to be better than me in some way, shape, or form. That's what I'm looking for. So it's not about, oh, he makes all this money, he's taller than me, or he's better looking or whatever. No, I want him to be competent. I want him, and definitely if he's spiritual, like if he is a truly God-sent man, like I'm like, woo, like that's very attractive to me.
That's very attractive, right?
So yes, there is a difference. It's not just about money and height and what he can do for me. And what I think is really hilarious is women today now talking about the size of a man's peen. That
phallus, right?
What?
Well, I'm glad you answered that because I love you, Anita. Because you know, you and I can talk because I'm very philosophical and you're very intellectual. We both are intellectuals. So let's say hypothetically, Anita, you fall in love with a man. Well, hold tight. Let me shout out to my man, the International Quiet Storm. He's the #1 sponsor of the stream with the $50 header. Shout out to the International Quiet Storm. That's my homeboy. I got nothing but love and respect for that brother, as he is the #1 sponsor of the stream. The #1 sponsor of the stream, my brother, my friend, the International Quiet Storm. So I'm glad you brought that out, Anita, because you know, you and I must have some kind of mental telepathy going on, because I was about to ask you something similar. So, you know, but you know what? I don't think a man got to worry about his having erectile issues with you, because you're going to feed him healthy and you're feminine, and you're going to make sure he work out so his testosterone level. Testosterone going to be right. So if your man went impotent, Anita, because, you know, for whatever reason, could you still love him?
Oh, of course. And like I said, everything isn't for every season. All of us are going to lose our ability to have sex. As long as me and that man can have fun, we can laugh, we can have great conversations, we can be affectionate, right? If he's able to do that, like, we're all going to get to that point in life.
Right.
So to me, it's about being friends. It's about laughter. It's about ideas and being able to talk with each other and genuinely like each other. Right. And so when people say good sex versus bad sex, in my mind, there is no such thing. You love that person and you work with that person. No man on earth, no matter how fine he is or how big his peen is, no man on earth was born knowing, you know, everything about sex. He had to learn. He had to like learn different women and different women's bodies. So in my humble opinion, anyone can be taught like how to please you.
Right.
Anyone can be shown what you like and how to please you.
Right.
And this idea of, oh, but what if his thing is super small or this or that? Okay, but do you have love for this man? Do you like this man? Right.
But
about what happens in the bedroom. That's 30 minutes out of your 24-hour day.
Right. That's powerful. But now, you know, that come on, Anita. If he got a micro penis, you know you ain't gonna love that man.
I mean, I'm gonna do something with him. He gotta have good mouth game. Okay, we're gonna do something. I'm gonna do something with him. Okay.
What you said? What that mouth do?
Yeah, mouth do that, I guess. We're gonna do something.
We're gonna do something. We're gonna make it work. We're gonna make this thing work.
Yep.
You are so funny, man. I love your intelligence, but also your humor as well. But let's go back to the 90s. Let's go back to the 90s. I'm gonna clip this thing up, man, because I'm gonna give you some good content to share, and I love your energy. So let's go back to what do you remember about the 90s? Hold tight.
I hope she's a cool girl. I hope she's a cool girl. Versus dating today. I hope she's a girl. I hope she's a girl.
Now, this was the 90s, Anita. We remember this. You and I remember this.
Fun.
A lot of girls, they've seen my face on TV so many times that that's what they want. They want to get associated with that person. It's the fame that gets these people. It is not me. It's the fame. Because I've watched females look at me when they didn't know who I was, and I could see it, nothing. And then as soon as somebody whispered who I was, it's this glare in their eye. You make yourself want that person, you know?
How do you feel about that?
I don't understand how people could stand next to you 1 year, and next year they cannot stand there. They just going crazy screaming. They just can't take it that you're right there. But just last year, I was in the same club, walking around lonely like a motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Couldn't get a date. Couldn't get nobody to dance with me. I was too skinny, too something. And now he's just adorable. He's just, oh. A lot of girls, they see my...
Men get tired. We get tired. God, we get tired. And don't nobody give a damn. The folks you think could give a damn don't give a damn. Sometimes your kids don't even give a damn. And in the face of such hurt, heartbreak, rejection, confusion, a lot of men are just out here lost. And waking up every day is a miracle.
All right, Kevin was talking about that, and that's what people don't understand about men.
Yeah.
Needs drive behaviors. Dr. William Glasser talked about that. I've talked about that multiple times. When I worked in the training school environment, we taught reality therapy. We used that as a psychoanalytic technique. Mm-hmm. And Dr. Glasser said that there were 5 principles, Anita. He said it was power, fun, freedom, belonging, and survival. Now, some teach... Maslow talked about self-actualization. Mm-hmm. I don't believe that a man can fully self-actualize unless he's in the will of God, Yeah. But Maslow was looking from a secular perspective, and that's fine. He talked about food, water, clothing, shelter, whatever. He talked about all of that. Yep. But I told you, Anita, that I believe that men's spaces came into fruition because of needs, and it's consistent with Dr. Irvin Yalom. Dr. Irvin Yalom talked about group dynamics, and the manosphere is just groups. It's cyber group therapy. That's all it is. It's fundamentally cyber group therapy. Now watch this. Men were looking for answers. I met a brother at the airport. He said he didn't see the manosphere was not created as an affront to women, but it was created as a response to aversive feminism. Right. So men are coming to the manosphere because they're trying to find answers. They thought they were crazy. They were trying to find hope. They were looking for commonality and common patterns, but then they were also looking for what's called universality. I call it the universality of brotherhood. Mm-hmm. They were also dealing with something called corrective recapitulation. That's just a fancy way of saying I got to go back to the past and correct the thing, Anita, that held me renderless so that I can move forward in the future. But see, here's the problem with that. Some men will never see the light of day because they're in the grave. You can hear the echoes from the grave of dreams deferred. They'll never get a chance to live their lives out into perpetuity because now they're either in the presence of God or they're in hell, sadly. And so they'll never have their dreams because no one was there to tell them that they have worth, they have value, they have needs, they are loved, and they have merit. But so many men are broken. And so these men's spaces came as a result of the wickedness that we see in the typical modern woman. And so because women have not been conditioned to understand what men want, that goes back to black love without consent. Now men are saying either give me liberty or give me death. We're going to cut relationships off. You're going to either get in line with the program or you're going to be left behind. And it's good because guess what? Men now are getting passports. Thus came the passport bro movement. Men are getting passports. And Ben said we get on that passport, we get on that airplane because we're tired of being treated like afterthoughts. And a lot of American men are not only tired of being treated like afterthoughts, a lot of men are frustrated. They're frustrated with how they're being treated. They're frustrated with the caustic court systems. They're frustrated with modern women and their foolish demands. They're frustrated for a myriad of reasons. Actually, I was in a movie called Frustrated 3. Watch this.
When you date a woman and she may be a potential wife, it's a competition thing all the way. I can't take it no more.
They feel propped up because they feel more beholden to the government. And then their man comes second. That's why they figure that they're strong, independent, don't need no man because they have the government.
Because the men are failing us, to be honest. Guys thinking about themselves and they'll think about you after you react.
You don't hear anything about being good wives and all this other stuff. What you hear is you're strong and you independent. You can do it on your own. You got black girl magic, black girl rock, but you ain't said nothing about black family.
My mother is like what they consider to be the strong black woman. I feel like I projected that onto the guys that I dated.
Ladies have no idea how stiff their competition really is. You have no clue how black men are viewed in the rest of the world. We are the #1 most sexually desired man on the face of this planet.
They would call Jesus Dusty if he was here living in America because of the gross narcissism that a lot of our women have.
Wow.
You didn't know you were dealing with a star, did you?
Wow. All right. It looks great.
Well, you got to check it out. That's my man, Al Grease. He made Frustrated 1. It got a lot of headlines. He made Frustrated 2. And then I was in the last documentary called Frustrated 3.
All right.
And so this is part of niche driving behaviors. And we need women like yourself. Let the older women teach the younger women. We know that most of them ain't gonna listen because they don't, because they're so liberally indoctrinated. And but you know what though, Anita? But I commend you. You know, Nehemiah said, "Stay on the wall. Don't come down, Anita. You got to stay on the wall. You got to be like." Yeah, you got to be like the good soldier. You got to endure hardship. You know, that's part of being a good soldier because your eternal reward is set before you. And so I commend you for staying on the wall. I got another one for you. How much time you got? Because I want to be mindful of your time.